world affected by the challenges of poverty and climate change, it may be easy to forget the long history of colonization and its continued impacts on coastal communities and their heritages. For the casual passerby, it may appear that the coast has always been a place of interest for real estate developers and industrial exploitation. In this film, we follow the story of multiple returns to the sea in Namibia, South Africa, Kenya, and Tanzania. The story suggests that human relations with the sea are intensifying in the new millennia, as the ocean continues to provide routes for the transfer of goods and services, as well as being a source of solace, leisure, and ritual practice. Our story begins in Mossel Bay, South Africa, where we encounter the First Nations people of the country and their stories of humanity's first connections with the sea. 160,000 years ago, the first inhabitants of South Africa connected with the ocean. They were the first to develop a human ocean story, one where we, the descendants, would come to learn about sacred rituals with the sea and exactly how South Africa's first peoples became, as the scientist Curtis Marion says, aquatic hunter-gatherers. Thousands of years later, these communities find themselves in a colonized society where they have little access to the coast, unless it is for leisure purposes. But even then, these communities have been displaced and subject to a violent process of dispossession, which, for the most part, has left them bereft of access to nature. We spoke to Queen Gail about the story.
So my mother used to take us to Camps Bay Beach or to Sea Point Beach once a month. And then it would be myself and my little cousin in his walker, the pram, and myself walking. And it would have been that thing of, this is where we come from. And she would never talk about where we come from, but she would always just say that this is where we come from. And I could remember that I love to pick up just shells and the different colors and the stones. And then my mother would always say, whatever you take, you must put something back. And then I would ask, what can I take back? I've got nothing to put back. And then she would say, pull a hair strand and leave your hair strand there, because you cannot take from nature and not replace. So that to me was very significant of when I'm at the ocean or when I pick up a shell, or when you are there, it's like that connection of walking bare feet on the earth. It's another type of vibration, you know. It's a healing vibration, it's a clean vibration, it's a pure vibration. It is that thing of so many people walked here before you. Their visible footprints are gone, but the spiritual footprints will always tell you who you are and where you come from. And that is the significance of being on the ocean, staying next to the ocean, and just being part of what the ocean brings to us as a Khoi people.
Okay. We also spoke to Auntie Mona, who now lives in Packelsdorp. She told us about her personal return to nature, despite multiple attempts to remove her from it.
Dit was lekker om na die rivier te gaan, om ons daar te gaan bad.
Ja.
Dit was lekker om riviervissies te vang, om met die parras te speel, om hulle te mimiek, te kwaak soos hulle, om met die voëls te kommunikeer. Ja, ons kon die geluide van voëls maak.
Ja.
Ek kon. En tot nou onlangs het 'n voël in die boom kom sit en hy het 'n geluid gemaak en ek maak die geluid terug. En die volgende dag kom die voël weer. En 'n paar dae agterna kom hy weer. En hy maak hy roep en ek antwoord terug. En die vroue wat saam met my was sê, so die voël verstaan jou. Ek sê natuurlik. Natuurlijk verstaan die voël my. Maar dit is natuurlijk. Dit is waar ek myself ontdek het. Ek is 'n natuurkind. Ons is natuurmense. Ons kom vandaan. En my ontdekking met moeder aarde en met die atmosfeer het my in diepte gevat oor die mens wees. oor wie is ek. En my passie is vir my volk om te weet. Wie is ons?
But it is not only the First Nations that seek to return to the sea. The advent of colonial rule and apartheid in South Africa led to the dispossession of coastal inhabitants, such that the majority were forcibly relocated to the interior of the country or to the least cultivable lands, to homelands where it was imagined that they would achieve their own communities and separate identities. Research in Ponderland by Bayanda Lakwela documents this story, as well as efforts by local communities to sustain a cultural relationship with the sea.
And I'm doing research on coastal communities. My research is like the people and the sea in Ponderland. And it's an analysis of culture, provisioning, and accessibility to ocean and coastal services. So I think the topic, itself does explains what is my research all about. But my research, seeks to look at how the people in the Ponderland region are making use of the ocean, and how accessible is the ocean is to them.
Bayanda was not the only one to express these views. Our conversation with Chief Bani in the Eastern Cape province of the country, and Mariba, a healer diviner, spoke of sustained cultural and ritual relationships with water, and how, even though they wished it not, indigenes are called to return to the sea and to rivers where the ancestors and other spirits reside.
Yeah. So we have amagqirha asebenzisa ulwandle for their rituals.
Yes.
Do you have,
Yes.
do you have abanye abantu abalisebenzisayo ulwandle apha?
Even amaxhwele, even me, mna bandingena apha elwandle, there's herbs under the water, especially that corner.
Yes.
Esiwasebenzisayo for umzekelo xa usenza le nto phantsi izulu ufumana umlenze iwoti. Yabona mos iwoti zathi yintoni? Akutsho ke iwoti yintoni nangesingesi, but into ebuhagwarha, nathi ingulube kodwa.
Okay.
Iwoti inomlomo otsolo. Yeah.
Nathi yakule hlathi.
Nathi ingulube,
Okay.
nathi ihawks iwoti. Sebenzisa iwoti umsila walo.
Okay.
Usebenzise umthola apha ehlathini, apha emlanjeni. Usebenzise ke nento abathi impepho, yayibona mos impepho ya. Usebenzise ke nobulawo obukhoyo for ukwenza make sure uba wenza change iweather izulu yawo. Zininzi ke zo herbs efakwayo.
Okay. So you know how to change the weather?
Yeah, we know. Easy.
So they get angry when you disrespect. Even to the river. In the river, when I get inside the river, there is those calabashes. The Amanzawa are eating islaw. They're eating islaw inside the river. Then have to get inside the river, and have to get inside the river because it's you. You have to eat the islaw inside the river. And if there's something you've done wrong, because in the river you've got to kneel down, and the river has to be here. You have to kneel down, have to pesha, and you have to eat. And when you get out of the river, your knees will get sore. Then I will know that you've done something, and then I have to sit you down and ask you, what did you do before we get to the river? What have you done?
Coastal lands were reallocated during colonial rule and apartheid. South Africa's coastline is now a place of leisure, industry, and a place for scientific research. The process and outcome reflect what the academic Nadia Lovell says about the making of socially and economically meaningful space and place. In Knysna, we came upon such a place in Tiersen Island. It was also apparent that the boating history and heritage of the town had been sustained, but in doing so, the heritage and the history of the First Nations people had disappeared. We spoke to Owen from Sandparks, and he told us the following story.
You know, when we got here 38 years ago, you could probably on two hands count the number of houses on the Eastern Head. I mean, you go up there now, there's probably a few hundred houses up on that Eastern Head. the Western Head at that time didn't have any, sort of structures on them. And now there's a number of individuals who've bought property and built little houses on them, some not so little houses. And I think, if we look at the fires of 2017, also played a big impact in infrastructure loss. But as a result, people saw it as an opportunity to build bigger, in terms of the housing that or the houses they had there. If it was a 2-bedroom house and it burnt down, then they now ended up with a 5-bedroom house at the end of the day. So there's lots of different things that happened. Some probably for the better, but others maybe not. Leisure Island as an example. There was no harbour on Leisure Island, so you had boats being moored right around the island, and it had impacts on different user groups. It had impacts on fishermen trying to access the water, but now you couldn't because you had all of these boats moored in front of the island. It was having an impact on the environment itself.
We also spoke to women small-scale fishers and their experiences in the town.
Maar ek bedoel, baie van die huise wat so teen in die see is, dan sê die mense op jy mag nie, ek bedoel as jy hulle see nie.
Dis nie hulle se see nie. So jy sê die waters is almal se water.
Is almal se water.
The coast is also precious insofar as the protection of vulnerable marine species is concerned. We spoke to Chanel in this regard, and she expressed her deep connection with the sea and its creatures.
Most definitely, everything coexists, all the ecosystems work together. And since I started here as a field ranger last year, being a marine ranger and a field ranger, you realize how everything really intricately works together, and how unique the ecosystems are in an area, in a mountainous area near the ocean. All of your species that exist there because the ocean is nearby, because everything just coexists. And as I mentioned, those fragmented habitats or ecosystems that happen due to development. When you don't see development and you're fortunate enough to see ecosystems where there is no development occurring there, you really do start to realize how everything works together and functions together.
In Namibia, we learned how access to gender rights was critical not only to the achievement of human rights, but also of access to the sea. We learned how, for many women, the impact of distance, poverty, and historical oppression meant that many have never seen the sea or the coast of their country. Deeply conscious of the role of the ocean in human well-being, the team pledged to assist the local community in bringing young and older women back to the ocean so that these women could experience the majesty of the coast and its associated cultural heritages. This was a magical experience, as different generations of women were able to reconnect with the ocean and experience it either for the first time or for the first time in a very long time. Seeing the sea for the first time was exhilarating, especially for the young women from Tsumeb. They had heard about the sea from their grandmother, but had never encountered it for themselves.
Toro da gori ba ting ai de chanao odai juru ao chidai ding la hu ngai de sugo ma have dai gi kai se gur hao no ko gur ao have dai kai se gur cha tikero ko ta kai sambi
ngada ku se se ku ma uri pasio de gi gur ao chegi ngada ko kame hao ko ai di pasio de gi gur tron kai chegi ngaba ko
They were accompanied to the ocean by Veronica Kamati, a community member of Tsumeb and a multilingual High-Kom person that the team had met in 2023.
I and Moses was invited to come and see the sea for the very first time when When I came for the first time, it was a challenge for me to go and see or touch the water of the sea because I was very scared of the waves. I was scared of the way the sea is moving. But after I have touched the sea, now I'm no more scared.
The team also met a family on the beach in Swakopmund. This was one of many that make a regular pilgrimage to the ocean. It was then that we also discovered that many communities in Namibia seek a return to the sea, and that many collect seawater and kelp for ritual and health purposes. The pressure on the coast is increasing as more people use the ocean for leisure and commercial purposes. We saw this firsthand in Lamu, Kenya, and in Zanzibar, where investors are arriving in great numbers to build the coastal tourism industry of these islands. We also saw, however, that the peoples of Lamu and Zanzibar retain a unique and enduring connection to the ocean. We spoke to the Bajunis, the peoples of the sea. We followed them into the deltas and observed how they continue to glean a life from these waters. We met a dhow captain who told us that leaders must learn how to sink.
In Lamu, we have different winds and season. Like now it's June, it's a very too windy and heavy.
Yeah.
And when there is a cloud, you never know. Either you can break the mast, you can break the boom, either you can tip over. If you play, you can tip over with this wind. Don't think that you are here, you hear the wind. Here it's just, let's say, quarter. If you go to that side, it's different, another side. And because we are system is Iba na Yomlima.
It's not like something you
and you can't be a captain whenever you haven't sink.
You have to sink.
You have to sink first.
Let's remember that one.
Because normally we do dhow race here. On the way for exercise, normally we tip over maybe 2, 3, 4 times.
You do it on purpose?
Just by hobby.
Just by hobby?
Yeah, you tip over, you swim, you take the boat out. But in the ocean it's different because there you are just alone. So the only thing, if you don't panic, everything will be okay. If you panic, if there is somebody who panic at the skin, then it's problem. Because he's crying. Also, maybe you'll feel then you cry. You lose the morale. But normally, if you got those accidents, you give him hope. Staying together, giving him hope, and you keep everything to God. Then if it is for survive, you will survive. If not, then even if you know how to swim, when the day comes,
And we saw, as the sun set on Nungwi in Zanzibar, just how close and enduring human ties with the ocean remain. For these people, we said, the sea has never left them, and so they have no need to return to it. The sea is always there.